Well, so thank you for being here. I will give you this talk about Polarsys and about the idea that it may represent a sort of industrial revolution for open source tooling for embedded systems. And well, that's the first time I am in a so large room to present Polarsys, but even if you are not so numerous, I think that we have also more people than usual. So I think let's start by telling you what is Polarsys about. First, this is our website. We put it online today, so if you have some time after the talk, you can go on the website and start getting more information about it. First, Polarsys is an industry working group inside Eclipse. So you will see later that we have members which are either industrial members, like large companies, or service providers who work on the tools. And we work on open source tools for the development of embedded systems. So we have users with very important and very specific needs. And typically, our industry users create embedded systems with long life cycle. But they also want to get better productivity and better tools to build these embedded systems. So that's why what we put at the first place is open innovation, because as a group of both users and providers, we have the means to collaborate to create those better tools. Also, our second topic is computer automation. Because you will see later that we work a lot on model-based tooling and code generation and so on. So that's creating tools to help in all the activities of system engineering, embedded system developments, and also testing, validation, and so on. Something very specific to Polarsys is that we are in a context of certified embedded systems. I mean certification as in DO-178 for the aerospace industry, or ISO 262, thank you. And so it means that for tools, there is an implication on tools, because we have to get some qualifiable tools that can be used in a complex certification process. And our last point, our last topic in Polarsys is very long-term support. We have the chance in the Eclipse Foundation to work with the long-term support initiative to ensure support of the Eclipse platform and on tools from the release train for 10 years, because other Eclipse members are also interested in getting support for the tools for 10 years. But in Polarsys, we also want to add extra time of support from 10 to, let's say, maybe, hopefully, 70 years or 75 years. So it means that at some point, we will add some, for example, some virtualization layer in our build and test system. It means that we will have to be able to freeze some tools for long-term support, and then to revive the tools, to patch the tools, and so on. So that's what we do. Now, let's say who we are. And so I'm Gaël Blondel. I work for OBO, and I'm the spokesperson of the industry working group. And here we have Pierre Gaufilet. Stand up, Pierre. You can stand up. So Pierre Gaufilet works for Airbus, and he's the chairman of the industry working group. Just to say that that's not that's on purpose, that the chairman works for a large industry player, because we want to be an industry-driven an industry-driven ecosystem. We have also Benoît Langlois from Thales, and Benoît leads the architecture committee of Polarsys, and Dominique Toupin, who is also another, he works for Ericsson, and he is another member of the steering committee. So if you want to get more details about why such companies from aircraft engineering or defense and or telecommunication work in Polarsys, then you will have the opportunity to talk to them later. Last point is that we have a mailing list provided by Eclipse. So the best way to join the conversation is to subscribe to the mailing list, drop an email to tell us that you want to know more, or you are subscribed and want to participate to the discussions. But let's come back to the title of the talk. So, yes, why is it a sort of industrial revolution? Because, as I said before, our ecosystem is industry-driven, and I think that's typically a sort of new generation of open source ecosystem. What I say here can be applied to other industry working groups in Eclipse, but typically when you have companies like Airbus, Ericsson, Thales, or others which are coming on board in such an industry working group, then you have really an industry-driven community. And that's not just like contributing your soft or on SourceForge or another forge, or working with what I call the individual-driven open source communities. Because if you take communities like Apache or the Free Software Foundation, the members are people and not company. So even if they work for their company, they are there because as an individual. And I think that you have business-oriented open source ecosystem like Eclipse. Most of us are here because we work for a company doing product on top of Eclipse or using Eclipse and so on. And here, this new generation of open source ecosystem is really user-centric ecosystem. The good news is that we are not the only one to do that. So I think that's really a trend in the open source world. If you take the Linux Foundation, for example, they are creating also initiatives for long-term support driven by companies who sell DVD players, or so by users of the kernel instead of developers of the kernel. If you take Genevieve, Genevieve is a consortium of car makers working together to create information and entertainment platform for cars, for the automotive, and it's definitely driven by car makers and tier one. So even inside the Eclipse Foundation, we have the automotive working group, which is, I think, the other industry working group driven by users. So that's why I call it the sort of industrial revolution. So let's get back to a bit of history. Why are we creating Polarsys now? At the beginning, several years ago, let's say in 2005, some companies driven by Airbus in Aerospace Valley Cluster in the southwest of France started to work on Topcase. That was a funded project with a clear strategy to create a model-based system engineering tool. And by 2009, they almost achieved the goal, and they had a full model process system engineering tool. But at this time, the question was how to ensure the sustainability and the growth of the Topcase ecosystem. So that's what brings us to have Polarsys today. And in the middle, we created the OPs project, which is a European project, which was a good basis to create the ecosystem because we were almost 30 members from 5 countries. Well, a lot of French members, but also some members from Belgium, Sweden, and Spain, and even Norway. And the fact is that you will see the current member list at the end of my presentation, and some of these partners are members now of Polarsys. Just to get back 1 minute about our domains. So I know that everybody is working on the cloud these days, but actually our focus in Polarsys is more on what's above the clouds or under the clouds. So I mean industry domains with embedded systems, and that's just to mean that we are not IT companies. Well, the service providers are IT companies, but the users of our technologies are not IT companies. They use these technologies to create aircraft, rockets, and telecommunication infrastructure. So, what will we put in Polarsys? Actually, we join the Eclipse Foundation. We create Polarsys in the Eclipse Foundation, but we will have our own infrastructure, our own forge, beside the one from the Eclipse Foundation. But even if we have our own forge, we won't reinvent the wheel. For example, all the projects that we like in the Eclipse Foundation, like Eclipse Modeling Project or CDT, Linux Tools Project, and so on, we will reference them, not fork them or reinvent them and so on. We will reference them, we will contribute to them, and we will even reference and contribute to non-Eclipse projects like GCC, because at some point when you create embedded systems, you have to compile them for your targets. So it's good to have a compiler somewhere. But we know also that in our context, we need at some point some very specific projects. And for example, we need to have project qualification kits. So the qualification kits that's all this documentation that is necessary when you want to use a project like a code generator in a certification process for flying aircraft. And we want to share, in the context of Polarsys, we want to share such documentations. We also, for example, we also have some very specific code generators for embedded C, and we think that such code generators are not of general purpose or of general interest for the rest of the Eclipse community. So each time we identify a new need in Polarsys, we will put that in balance to know whether it's more relevant to put the project in the Eclipse Foundation or to put it in Polarsys Forge. And there is also an important criteria for us. It's that under in Polarsys, we have the capability to host projects which are not under the Eclipse public license, but for example also under the Apache or other BSD-like license, and even under the LGPL license. So that's something we will use because maybe not all the tools we need in Polarsys will be under Eclipse public license. So what's important in Polarsys is that we bring a new type of actors, like the industry players, in the middle of the ecosystem. They are no more external to the ecosystem. And so around the table, we now have the contributors, we now have the project leaders, but we also have the users of the technology and corporate users of the technology with their criteria for return on investment, or their needs for their very specific needs to fulfill to fit with their internal processes. So we want to integrate the users in the community, and we integrate. And so for you, if you are a project committer or project leader, it means that you will get more users, certainly, because we bring you new users. You will get maybe more customers, because they are ready to integrate the technology in their own tools. Also incentives for industrialization, returns of experience, because that's something very important. We are working on in Polarsys is to get return of experience of Polarsys technologies in large use case, and also sponsorship for new features. Because one of the main rationale behind creating Polarsys is that industry players want to be able to adapt the tools to their internal processes, and not to adapt the internal processes to the existing tools. So that's one of the interests of getting open source tools, and definitely that's what we implement in Polarsys. And we implement that by creating, well, maybe you will think that yet another committee or yet another meeting opportunity and so on, but we think that we need a place where a place of collaboration between the project management committee, the project committers, the project leaders, and the users of the technology. And it's also a place to collaborate between users, because that's one of the very interesting part of Polarsys, is that we make users meet together, share their best practices, and define new practices. So collaboration between users, also to get new needs emerge, and also to set priorities on the next development of the technologies. So today we are working to create what we call the Polarsys IDE 1.0, and we have a first project planning committee for this Polarsys IDE 1.0, and it's led by Alain Rossignol from Astrium. And what do we define as priorities in 2013? It's releasing this tool by Q3 2013. So basically, we want to create this tool based on Kepler Service Release 1. And before this final release, we are putting together several milestones. The first milestone will be after API freeze of Kepler. Second milestone will be after the synchronous release in June, and our first release will be in October after Service Release 1. After that, we will certainly synchronize with the usual Eclipse release train. What we need to do also is to complete the infrastructure we need, because we want to have build automation, to have testing framework. We also want to assess the maturity of the projects we put in Polarsys. That's something important, because if you look at the project page in Eclipse, for example, you have only 2 levels of maturity. It's incubation or mature project. As soon as the graduation review has been fulfilled, then you are a mature project. In Polarsys, we will take into account other aspects, like is this project used by some Polarsys users? Is it largely deployed at one Polarsys users? Or is it used by all the Polarsys community? For example, that gives you the level of confidence you can get in this component. And that's one of the important information you will find in the Polarsys tools catalog. I was talking previously of sponsoring opportunities for projects, and typically we will have some improvement in the open source modeling toolchain next year in the context of Polarsys. So that's improving the stability with, of some components with more tests and more functional tests and more unit tests. Also support for big models. So that's a topic also for us. We have, because we also have big models in our context. Diff and merge and team API, because we want to have people working together and merging, and just we want to do the same with models that we can do with the code today. And also other topics are peer reviews with models and with code, and contribution of top case components. In top case components, I will give you a list on the next slide, but you have, for example, code generation components or requirements engineering components. Another topic is multicore, and multicore with multicore visualizer in CDT, and also stressing framework, which is an initiative in coordination with the Multicore Association. So just to give you more details about what we put, that's not exhaustive, but about what we put in the Polarsys 1.0 IDE. Of course, we leverage the Eclipse platform, the plugin development environment, and the JDT. We have a lot of Eclipse modeling technologies. That includes the EMF and the collateral projects, GMF for the graphical part, some tools like Axeleo, like Xtext, like MDT-OCL, MDT Papyrus. So that's some important tools to be able to do system engineering, model-based system engineering, and code generation. Also Mylin, because we have users with big teams, so they must be able to work together and to implement, to use an ALM approach. eGit and Subversion, CDT and the Linux tools, because at some point we don't only want to model the systems, but we want to be able to do the development part of the embedded systems. And top case projects. So here is a list of top case projects we are embedding, like including GenDoc2, requirements, embedded software code generators. So UML2EC, for example, is a code generators from UML to MISRA-C, or RTSG, which is a code generator from UML to real-time Java. All of this will be done in collaboration with the long-term support initiative, with the long-term support industry working groups, and we will work with the common build infrastructure. So that's something really integrated with the rest of the Eclipse stuff. So here are the members. So you may have guessed some of them. Just, I want to let you know that membership is open only since June. We have 7 members for the moment. So Airbus, Ericsson, Thales, Atos, Intex, which is an Italian company, OBO, and Soyatec. And we will be around 10 members at the end of the year, and we will now start including also opening the membership to universities, so getting more members. But these are the core. This is a core team with very motivated people to make it work in 2013, and we will also have more research institutes at the beginning of next year. So I think it's a good start, and well, if you want to be part of it, do not hesitate to get more information from us. That would be a pleasure. If you have any question, we have 2 or 3 minutes for questions. Yes? Okay, maybe not all the release will be long-term, will be supported for the long term. But actually we will synchronize with the long-term support initiative to get long-term support on the same platform versions. So, for example, this one will be based, the first release will occur with Kepler SR1, and I think that Kepler SR2 will be a long-term support version. So we will continue to work with Kepler SR2 to have this version long-term support enabled. You have a comment, Pierre? Maybe you can have a mic if you want.
Just to say that all those things are not completely defined yet. Maybe we will support only one version of our current version of Eclipse with respect to the very long-term support. Something like that. I don't know really well.
The fact is that at some point, the long-term support and more the very long-term support will depend on the deployment of the version, and the real need is when the tool is deployed for, let's say, for example, an aircraft program. Then you have to have long-term support because an aircraft program lasts for 80 years. So at some point you need either to be able to support the tool for 80 years, or you have to migrate to a new version. But typically, I think that, as Pierre answered, we will focus on several versions, and if one version each 2 years, for example, is a long-term support version, certainly we will provide very long-term support for one version out of 2 long-term support versions. So you see, because it should be possible to migrate to this regular version. Other question? Okay, thank you.